Hi there, Plush here. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays. Hopefully I have this video finished by the time of one of those. Today I just wanted to do something that I'm hoping that I might be able to do as a little tradition of sorts. Might be bi-yearly or might be yearly, who knows. Today I am going to go through my videos from the Plushie Speaks channel, the channel you are watching this on. For this video it'll be from the channel start till now. In the future I'll do it from between this video and whenever I do it next. I also made sure to react to all of my old videos on stream, or at least most of them. The podcast attempts are going to be an exception and you will see why, but overall this video is just going to be a general synopsis of each video along with just my thoughts on each one. You can see my reaction from the streams linked below, and let's get started. Alright, this is gonna be the probably longest one, and for it being the first one, oh no. Oh boy, this first video, the podcast, it's not that great, and there's a reason for it.
Cool, but remember when Mr. Nick was telling us to not lean back in our chair, and I was leaning back in my chair and I fell the fuck over? Oh my god.
That was hilarious.
That was perfect timing. Mr. Nick.
For one, me and Fluffy had basically no idea of what we were doing, coupled with the fact that we had way too many broad topics in mind without any specific ones. It kind of just led to a lot of rambling, especially on Fluffy's end. I needed to talk more, and not only that, the audio quality is not the greatest, but it's not the worst that we're gonna see, unfortunately. So I don't have an exact name for it yet. Did I really not cut out any stars like that in this? Oh god, this is gonna be a bit of a long one. The main issue is just how unfocused it is, though. Otherwise, it could be a worse start, but there's a reason why this one is staying unlisted. You can still check it out if you want. It is 3:30 in the morning. I am an hour and a half past my sleep time. We may as well go over the other podcast tonight. While the first podcast attempt was very long and unfocused, thankfully this one was a lot shorter and a lot more focused. Let's just say me and her really didn't know what we were doing. Clearly. With me and Fluffy only sticking to one broad topic, which is Pokemon. Honestly, though, this video is kind of sad in retrospect. Me and Fluffy both have way high optimism over the Diamond and Pearl remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I even stated that I had some worries, but I was overall hoping for the best. I personally like the art style, but I do see where people are a bit wonky about it, because it's nothing like Sword and Shield. People were expecting it to be like Sword and Shield. Oh, poor me. If only I could go back in time and just warn you. Otherwise, it's not awful. It wasn't exactly great either, and in the end, I ended up not making an edited version. But that's just how it goes. One of these days, I do want to try making a podcast, but it's gonna potentially have to be not with Fluffy. I love her, but she's also very good at getting very off topic very quickly. But for the most part, this is just gonna be watching and whatnot. And hey, YouTube, before you yell at me for rebroadcasting my own videos, these are my own videos. So it is okay for me to rebroadcast my own videos. Same with you, Twitch. It does not matter if I do not make very deep commentary on them. These reactions are reactions to my own content. which means that it does not matter if they are transformative or not, because they are videos solely owned by me. So now we're on actually public videos. But my goodness, why did I do that? That was not even funny. So for this first one, I, as you can tell, did not really think of much to talk about. There was a lot more that I could have mentioned in the video that I just did not mention. Wait, I just realized I never mentioned what videos I had watched or who I watched. That would have been like nice information to know. Instead, I'm just like, I watched some videos. Moving on. Some of the other issues include some blatant like ear rape that was not meant to be as loud as it is. It's supposed to be like, you know, me shouting at like, you know what? I'm not even gonna explain. The joke was bad anyways in it. Besides that, just the fact that this video has text and pictures go by so quickly, it's too fast for anyone to actually take in what is actually on screen. Used it since. I have altered it sometimes. And now I will say that thankfully things do get better later on. But in this video, everything is just cut super quickly to the point where it's kind of a whiplash effect at some points. The other thing is, like, let's be real. Who cares? It's not like I'm someone that's like a well-known person. So because of that, who cares on what my personal experience with Minecraft is if there's no reason for people to really care about my experiences with Minecraft. But that's just sort of criticism overall about it that honestly might be a bit harsh on myself. Still, I do think that this is a video that could have been done so much better. Maybe I'll revisit the topic one day, but that's not gonna be today. During the height of the cancellation of FiddleAFox on Twitter, who is someone that I had followed at the time. Oh boy, we're already on what is the highest viewed video on my channel, and God, I wish I put more effort into this. This video is unlisted, and a big reason for that is because I did not care about how good the editing of this was. We're gonna watch it.
This doesn't fit right. So I started scripting.
I also probably should have cut that down by like an entire 10 seconds. I got so lazy with the editing of this video. From segments just dragging on way longer than they should, especially me putting on the tiger head at the start, all the way to the fact that I couldn't even be bothered to take screenshots rather than just screen recordings of the tweets that I was reading off, and so instead I just played them once and not kept them on screen when I was reading them. So if you wanted to know what evidence I was referring to, you would have to go back and forth on the visuals just to see what I'm talking about.
Has not posted anything beforehand, which means that it's basically a burner account. So
literally text of me.
I'd say at first that
edited.
shouldn't be.
Now I am going to be fair. This video is not an awful one in hindsight, outside of those very blatant editing issues. That does not mean I'm going to republicize that video though. The editing is atrocious, and if there's any video that I would remake, it would probably be this one. Although at the same time, the topic itself is one that has been covered in retrospect by another user known as Clapped Seal. Instead of remaking the video, I will point you to that video instead, as that video also covers some events that happened after my original video came out, because when I made my video, FiddleAFox was still off the internet. A reason why this one was kind of rushed is because of the fact that I actually had a lot going on and happening around the time this happened. Because FiddleAFox is probably one of the first people I've seen get canceled that I actually followed. Literally a week later, while I was still getting things together with making this video, it might have been less than a week, another person that I followed was being canceled. Their name being Isabella or Lucario. They were a top tier Lucario main in Smash Ultimate at the time, plus the owner of the Discord server around Lucario and the bot that is used for all of the Smash Bros mains Discords. I would have made a video on this as well, but I also ended up going to a wedding at about the same time. More specifically, it was for Fluffy's brother. So I just did not have the time or the mental capacity to do that. And honestly, the fact that I had that situation pop up immediately after finishing the FiddleAFox video just kind of drained my ability to make a video on it. Especially given the fact that I didn't want to make a drama video after another drama video. I think there is. I'm just gonna let this play. I'm gonna be honest, any of the Plushie quickies are usually ones put out with not as much thought put into them as the others. Plushie Speaks are my videos that I try to script and put in effort and actually think, while the Plushie quickies, with one exception, are usually ones that are unscripted and are gonna be very loose in what can be in them. With the bootleg Game Boy Advance game disassembly, that was definitely the case. There's nothing wrong with the video outside of my camera not focusing, but like, let's be real, why did I make this? Why would anyone watch this? Anyways, now we move on to my second most viewed video ever. I am shocked that this video is one of my most viewed of all time. I am not sure what about it is even why anyone was drawn to it in the first place. All it is just me assembling the Jolteon Nanoblock, and that's about it. Sped up, and it has random Ori music in the background. I could also critique it, given that I have the Ori music way louder than it should be, but otherwise, that's all this is. It's just me building the Jolteon Nanoblock. The reason why I did this one as a sort of time-lapse type thing rather than a commentary like the Bootleg GBA was mainly due to the fact that during recording, Fluffy was here as well, and we were kind of having just casual conversation. This wasn't meant to be a commentary type. You know what I mean? There's me. Oh boy. PayPal dispute. This was pretty much one of the worst periods of times that I've had in a while. The video itself was like the surface, the start of things going wrong. For you see, I believe I mentioned this in the channel in life updates, but a lot more happened right after. For one, I did not actually get everything cleared up with the therapist, and in fact, the last time I had seen my therapist was basically the week of the PayPal dispute. And the reason that the PayPal dispute happened, if you saw the video, was because someone took $200 and sent it to somewhere else, somehow accessing my account. As it had turned out, this was due to the fact that someone had hacked my computer or gotten some sort of virus on it. Essentially, some remote protocol program had been installed onto my computer, and they were opening up my web browser and doing whatever the frick they want. They ended up trying to buy a quadcopter that cost literal thousands of bucks, and that took a while to get cleared up as well. Thankfully, that didn't go through, and I did get the money refunded through PayPal. It just took forever. The other unfortunate thing, however, was this was during the time that my cat, Kyle Jr. Midnight, had a bit of a lung issue start flaring up. He was brought to the vet, and the unfortunate thing was he had to be put down soon after because he had lung cancer and was in pain. I was so distraught by this, and so that is sort of why there's a bit of a gap between the PayPal dispute and the channel and life updates. And I do address these in channel and life updates. In fact, why don't we go to that real quick? Anyways, we're gonna watch the updates video because, like, even though this is sort of an outdated video when it comes to channel updates, it is sort of important to just bring up as a video that is still up on my channel. So in here, I do talk about some things that were changed around at the time. This was when I unlisted the FiddleAFox drama video, explained that I was going to update the profile pictures of this channel and the stream YouTube channel, stuff like that. And then also mentioned the things that I just mentioned before. The one thing I'll say for this video is that this one should have been a Plushie Quickie instead of a Plushie Speaks, but whatever. The other issue with both of these is that they were not edited nearly as much as they probably should have, but in the end, what are you gonna do, right? At least there wasn't any major issues with the videos. And frick, even in the PayPal one, the screenshots that I do show for them are actually shown on screen long enough for you to read what's going on. The one sort of regret that I have with that video is that I did censor the scammer's name. At this point, I'm not sure I actually care to censor them in the future. And this is my first video that actually uses, like, stills that I commissioned. This one's another weird one, I'm gonna be honest. So, the KHTB Gaming channel was a shared one, and at one point I decided I wanted to close the channel because the other person who owned it never really did anything with it. I wanted to cut down the online presence just a bit. After all, what are you gonna do with like 3 Google emails and channels that you're not using? So that's why I uploaded all the videos to the stream channel in the first place, all unlisted. The announcement itself probably could have showcased some of these videos, but I didn't think about it at the time. And overall, as a video on its own, kind of pointless, I'm gonna be honest. Not much else to really talk about on this one, really. Other than, yeah, it exists, and I don't think it was really necessary for me to announce this. After all, like with the Minecraft video, who am I? Who cares? Why would anyone care? I feel like I will fail anyways. I can't The event art type thing video is an odd one. The main thing I have to say about it is that it's one that wasn't meant to be a full video. It was just me kind of scribbling my song in a rough style to kind of show the rough state that I was in. But at the same time, I put in text saying that I'll be fine, don't worry about it. The thing is, I failed to really explain what sort of things were bothering me in any depth, and I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of lying when I said I was okay, because I was not okay. Maybe I'll talk more about the reasons why in another video, because now is not the place to do it. Like, I do need to get personal if I do talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it today. This is not a face reveal. This video is one that's a kind of odd one in retrospect. Let me explain. So, Retail Mode Emulation, for those who didn't know, was basically the terminology used to explain homebrew on the Xbox Series S, X, and Xbox One that would be running software on the default console without paying for the developer mode. Sort of similar to homebrew on like a Wii or PlayStation 2, without having to make any sort of custom firmware. What's interesting is that after this video, Retail Mode almost had a comeback. I remember seeing the Xbox Discord that I was talking about in that video actually have some activity before Xbox itself did something very wild. So theoretically, after Microsoft did what they did that I talked about in the video, there was a chance that Retail Mode Emulation and Homebrew could still exist as long as the programs did not get flagged and taken down. After all, the reasons that the licenses weren't working is because the programs were no longer on the stores. And so, while the programs were no longer just freely available to everyone, the Discord actually had a Patreon that you could donate to and get the correct URLs to be able to do what you could before. But then Microsoft decided, you know what, we're going to throw the hammer, and started to ban people who had homebrew software on Retail Mode and ran it all. That was the real killer. That was a long while after, but it was still something that happened. I will say that this video is the one Plushie quickie that I actually put some thought into. After all, this was made basically the night after it had happened, and I was still mostly analyzing it, the whole situation. I had most of my thoughts in order by the time that I made the video, but otherwise, yeah. There was also one comment by someone that mentioned that, yeah, the stuff technically is against the TOS, but saying so kind of missed the main point of my video, because the main point of it was to explain that while the homebrew might not have been allowed, it was still our consoles. And the fact that it's our consoles mean that we should be able to do this stuff as long as it doesn't interfere with other players, which some like emulating a game that's from 2005 does not do. That, and the fact that Xbox could revoke the license to these programs, meant that they could do that with any program. And that meant that games that might get delisted for things such as copyright problems, or just the owners not wanting them listed anymore, that could mean that everyone could lose those games. That might be a legal headache for Microsoft in the future if they were to actually do that to a game that people bought, but that's still a possibility. That's what I was worried about the most. And you know, there was a little bit of personal being pissed off because I had bought the Series X specifically to emulate with, but that's besides the point. I will say that not every controller has a good controller to USB thing, and not many controllers actually have good, or not all emulators actually have like some sort of thing that works with that. For this being a little bit of a longer video compared to some of the others on this channel, I don't know what to say about it other than holy crap, my audio quality in this is terrible. I believe that the reason that the audio quality is crap is because I was trying to use a program called Crisp, which is essentially a noise gate that works in real time, but it honestly wasn't that good. And Crisp also decided to start adding option to have your stuff transcribed and try to add AI. And I went, nope. So I'm not using that anymore. Otherwise, it's just sort of an informational video of, yeah, this controller's a little messed up, switching the shells and buttons. Here's me doing that. Here's me demonstrating what is done. Not much else to it. Happy Pride Month. Frank. For how critical I have been for some of the earlier videos, a lot of the issues that really are prominent in like the first Plushie Speaks and in the podcast are remedied pretty quickly, with the exception of me just not having that greatest scripts, to be honest, for most of them. I would say of all the videos between the FiddleAFox video all the way to here, the scripts for them have been very mediocre and not well thought out. But Pride Month talk, let's be honest, I would say is probably one of the better videos out there overall. And the fact that it is like getting up there in views compared to the other ones, I think is a good thing. That's not to say that the video is perfect, obviously. I do kind of ramble a bit in this video, talk about topics that are not really focused. And like, let's be real, the joke about me releasing it on the last day of Pride Month kind of fell flat. But honestly, a lot of issues that were prominent in some of the other videos aren't even there. So for example, how in the Minecraft history video, I accidentally ear raped when I was trying to emphasize certain things. In here, I actually managed to do the emphasis correctly without really making the volume unbearable or even really that much different. And that honestly is how you're supposed to do it. No love for anyone at all, which is actually sociopathy. And that pansexuality meant love for everyone without exception. Okay, so you might have missed this, but the fact that I did the zoom in there without utterly blasting out the audio, that just proves that I have done much better now than I did in the past about that sort of joke. And that's just one example. Overall, this video is a big improvement overall for what it is. And honestly, probably my best video until I make the video where I go over scammers. That's still being worked on. Last video, one that I released 2 months ago where I complain about making videos being hard. Way for me to end on a flat note. This video was me just expressing my frustrations about being unable to focus on video making. That's it. It's me talking about the fact that I've been trying to make a video, but failing to, and not much else. Honestly, this one probably could have just not been made. I don't know. Who knows? Oh well. And that is all the videos from the channel start back in 2021 all the way to now. So in retrospect, honestly, I can see improvements in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to the editing, because, oh boy, that was my low point. Unfortunately, though, there is some things I do need to work on. For one, the Plushie quickies. Just as a whole, kind of unnecessary in some of them. The ones that are pretty well edited could be listed as something other than a Plushie quickie, but I don't know what. And some of the Plushie quickies just straight up are unnecessary. For example, video making is hard. That one I made, 2 months ago? That one was unnecessary to the nth degree. I could have just not made that video. And same with some of the even Plushie Speaks one. The KHTBGaming Archive could have gone without. As much as it's kind of important to me, it doesn't really add much. Maybe I could have had that as some on the Plushie Streams channel instead, but oh well. The other thing is that I don't seem to put enough focus on actually making edited videos. I tend to peek out, make a video, and then go back into doing whatever I'm doing. And that video is usually me rambling, doing something as a background, and that's it. My editing has not been active for the last 2 years, let's say. At least not to the extent that I want it to be. I do want to make more videos that are actually edited videos, but I don't know. That's something that I'll just have to work on. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. I am going to head out for now. And here's to a good new year and to more videos in the future. Have a good night, everyone.